Hello everyone, I'm Junzhe Cao from Big Bridge Academy. Today I will talk something about the Great Depression. Mellon pulled the whistle, Hoover rang the bell, Wall Street gave the signal, and the country went to hell. What's your feeling after hearing this song? Not so good, right? Actually, this was a popular song at a special time, the Great Depression. A calamity that caused the collapse of the whole country and even the world. The 1929 economic crisis was a nightmare that Americans will never forget. Even now, after 90 years, people still research the crisis. Here, I will show some pictures about the Great Depression. People were obliged to live in shabby houses. People lined up for bread. Milk was poured into Mississippi River. Back in the 1920s, the United States moved toward prosperity. Their productivity increased by 4% every year. Modern things like radios, washing machines, refrigerators, and automobiles become common household items. However, almost nobody realized that anxieties were behind the economic miracle. In the 1928 presidential election, Republican Herbert Hoover was the most popular candidate. He was the commerce minister under the tenure of President Coolidge. He and the president created the college prosperity together. Hoover easily defeated his opponent, Alfred Smith, who came from the Democratic Party, with electoral votes 444 versus 87. There must be a chicken in every pot and a car in every garage. Hoover confidently stated his goal after becoming president. In retrospect, his statement is quite ridiculous. We may say, President Hoover, do you know that your people will almost have nothing to eat just several months later? However, at that time, everyone was so confident and believed that the prosperity would last forever. Even the stock market reacted to Hoover's victory. Shares shot up like a rocket. However, when the 1929 economic crisis happened, all the excitement turned into desperation. When it comes to Herbert Hoover, many people deemed him incompetent, especially those people who lived in the period of Great Depression. Imagine that if your comfortable life changes into an extremely poor one, what will you think about the president? But in fact, Hoover was not as useless as many people consider. He was compared with his predecessor Coolidge. Hoover was an unfortunate president. A lot of problems appeared in the United States after the World War I, and all of them broke out during the presidency of Hoover. At that time, many American people ignored those serious social problems. The 1929 economic crisis was not an accident, but an inevitable consequence. The left one is Hoover's predecessor, John Calvin Coolidge. The right one is Herbert Hoover. This is the inaugural ball of President Hoover. And we can see from this picture that Hoover gained an overwhelming advantage in the 1929 presidential election. It is incredible that the United States, such a powerful country, dropped from heaven to hell. Now, 90 years passed, people have explored a lot about the causes of the Great Depression. One of the causes was strongly related to stocks. Buffett has a famous saying, the stock market is the economic barometer. Here, it is suitable to use the sentence. During the 1920s, the economy of the United States was prosperous. At that time, the index of stocks grew rapidly every year. However, the beginning of the Great Depression was the crash of the New York Stock Exchange market. This picture shows the crash in the New York Stock Exchange market. A catastrophic crash came in October 1929. It was partially triggered by British, who raised their interest rates in an effort to bring back capital lure abroad by American investments. Foreign investors and very domestic speculators began to dump their insecurities, and an orgy of selling followed. Tension built up in the panicky Black Tuesday, October 29, 1929, when 16 million shares of stocks were sold in a same who may scramble. By the end of 1929, stockholders had lost 40 billions in paper values, or more than the total cost of the whole World War I to United States. The economic crisis happened because of the crash of the stock market. The question is why such a horrible crash happened. People at that time could not understand. At that time, the index of stocks had risen for 10 years in a row. Such a bull market made almost all the people believe that the prosperity would last forever. The most remarkable of these people was an economist, Irving Fisher, a professor at Yale University. This is Irving Fisher. He declared to ordinary people that the price of stocks had reached some sort of persistent peak. Now we know it is impossible for the prices to increase forever. It is clear that people at that time working on doing one thing, speculation. Today, people in Wall Street believe in investment, value investment. Because of the influence of Benjamin Graham, Warren Buffett, and others, Wall Street has now become a mature financial center. But back in the days, people did not know how to invest the stocks. They just know how to speculate. In fact, the bad consequences of speculation had appeared in 1926, just 3 years before the initial crash. It was Florida property bubble. Because of the speculation, the supply of real estate was much larger than the demand. However, this event did not catch people's attention. The price of stocks kept increasing. This was Benjamin Graham's famous work, Security Analysis. Benjamin Graham was a tutor of Warren Buffett. We can use a set of data to see why people at that time were so confident at the stock market. In 1921, the index of common stock prices was 50. When Coolidge replaced Harding to be the president in 1923, the index was 70. In 1927, the index was 120. And in 1929, when Hoover became the president, the index was 195. Almost 4 times larger than what it was 8 years ago. The average annual growth of the index was 18.5%. If we just focus on the last 2 years, the number was starting 27.5%. But the facts have proved it quite unreasonable. From 1921 to 1929, the average annual growth of American GDP was about 4.5%. Compared with the number of the increase of index, this number was quite small. It demonstrated that the overheating of the stock market was completely out of touch with the reality of the economy. In fact, during the 1920s, a lot of American industries still did not recover from the World War I. This picture shows the terrible price versus earnings ratios of the United States. And this shows the terrible decline of index of Dow Jones Industries from June 1929 to May 1933. In the summer of 1929, the stock market was on the verge of collapse, but many people still wanted to earn more money from the stock markets. If we ask them why they chose to buy stocks, their answer was quite easy. Because the price were increasing. Not only ordinary people, but those experts and scholars in Wall Street did their dangerous work by this easy principle. So, sooner or later, the stock market will crash, said Roger Bobson, a statistician in Wall Street. It was September 3rd, 1929. We all know what happened later. By the end of October, nothing could be retrieved. President Hoover could do nothing. The economic crisis erupted, followed by the Great Depression and the World War II. Today, people in Wall Street do not do those foolish things again. But for those countries whose stock markets are not mature enough, the 1929 economic crisis could be a good alarm. Thank you.